I'm gonna show you something beautiful.
Hey everybody, welcome to Geek.0. I'm Chris.
And I'm Shawn Michael.
Wanted to come to you and talk about Avengers: Age of Ultron. We went and saw it Friday night, and so we've got thoughts on it. Wanted to get those out to you, give a little bit of our review. Caution: there will be spoilers. Just because
Always.
honestly, it's a pain in the ass to try to do a movie review without spoilers.
Yeah.
It really is.
You can't
So
talk
why
about
should we
what's good
bother?
and not
If you're
without...
a good nerd, you went and saw it this weekend anyway. So, but first, we're going to talk about Suicide Squad.
Yes.
So everybody that's here for Avengers, brace in for just a little bit because we're going to talk about the first cast image came out today for Suicide Squad. And it's showing the crew in costume, and I think we both definitely have thoughts on it.
Yeah.
There's good and bad to it. I think for the most part they did a pretty good job. Sean, I mean, what do you think of it? I mean, I know there's a couple of these that you like, a couple of them you don't like. I guess the one that everyone is probably honestly concerned about because it's everyone's favorite crimestress. I'll make up a word here. Is Harley Quinn. What do you think? Did they get Harley Quinn right? Did they get Harley Quinn wrong? Did they maybe meet in the middle? What do you think?
I'm going to say that they're taking cinematic liberty with Harley
bit.
Quinn.
Yeah.
I think Harley Quinn is embodied by a very jokestery, smart-ass attitude,
Yeah.
combined with immense sexiness and, honestly, at times a complete lack of conscience, and other times like really sympathetic and emotional.
Yeah.
And it looks like I don't know. Harley Quinn is not one for convention at all, and the girl that they put in almost looks like she's some sort of pop cheerleader esque
She kind of looks like
gothic. It's like Mean Girls, Bad Girl,
she kind of looks like a Suicide Girl. Is what she looks like. Those pinup chicks. That's kind of what she looks like.
Without the tats and personality.
Well, I mean, she's got I'm looking here. She's got script tattoos on her legs.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
you're right. There they are.
And so I think that's kind of the look they were going for.
Suicide Squad, Suicide Girl.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think they were going for. I don't think they necessarily got it completely wrong.
I'm not completely. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking it. I'm just. It's not exactly what I pictured Harley Quinn.
No, me neither. I was hoping for something a little more Arkham Asylum-y, with the
Arkham series,
the black and red leather pants, and something a little more gestury.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe the corset. I think Margot Robbie's a really good actress, but you and I were talking about this before we started. If she doesn't have the high-pitched, whiny Mr. J, if she didn't have that, fans are gonna flip out.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it family friendly there. If she's not
going to look exactly the part, you have to. And for those of you who aren't huge fans, I'm in the middle between you and Chris. So Chris is much more. He's much more of a comic book nerd than me. He knows his characters much more than I do. I'm familiar with a lot of them, but there were a number of the characters in the actual pick that I don't know the whole Suicide Squad. In other words, and I looked at him. I'm trying to point out who I did know. But of those, as you mentioned, like the character that's going to represent and going to resonate with people are going to probably be Harley Quinn first, definitely, and then Deadshot. And
probably. And they got that one pretty much right.
It's hard to screw that one up, and they picked someone who can seriously carry the part. I mean, Will Smith.
He'll act his ass off. I mean, it's Will Smith. He's good. He'll be fine.
So we'll get back to that, but if you can't get the look for Harley Quinn just right, okay, to appease fans, and keep in mind, this is a fan film, okay?
Oh, yeah. Nobody outside of fans have any idea who the Suicide Squad is.
Exactly.
I've never heard of it.
And so if you are going to not get the look just right, you've got to get the personality and the way she carries herself and her voice just right. Otherwise, we're going to run into backlash. You're going to have people very unhappy. So
If she doesn't have that nasally, almost, I guess you almost want to call it a New Jersey kind of accent. It's really nasally.
It is. It's East Coast.
Yeah, it's definitely East Coast. If she doesn't have that,
it's almost Fran Drescher.
Yeah, almost, I guess, a little bit.
Only not as twangy. It's more
a little
sexy.
higher pitch, but
Yep.
I get what you're saying.
Yep.
And I just, I don't want to see, because I think this is going to be the second movie out of the gate for DC in their universe. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it goes Batman v Superman, then Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I mean, it could go Suicide Squad, then Batman v Superman. I'm not entirely sure. They both come out in 2016. I'm honestly, I probably should know, but I don't know which order they're going to come in. Either way, this is going to be one of their first two shots out of the gate. And if they F up an iconic character like Harley Quinn, they're going to have problems. Fans aren't going to trust them for the next 8 years worth of movies. They already screwed up Green Lantern. And I know that was a whole different universe as far as DC is concerned, and they're going a whole different route, and they're going to have new Green Lantern and all that. But fans are already really nervous about DC's movies.
And here's the thing.
And Harley Quinn, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'll let you finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Harley Quinn is a character that was created for visual and audible. She was created for Batman the Animated Series. She was a character that was created for the cartoon by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, and then made her way into the comics. She was not a comics character. She was a cartoon show character. And so, especially for people that are around my age and, in the 30 to, 25 to 40 range, or 30 to 40 range, Batman the Animated Series is our Batman.
Yeah.
Okay. And if Harley Quinn is screwed up, that's a big chunk of moviegoers that are going to be one of these DC movies.
Yeah.
And that's something you can't screw up. You really can't screw that up. So, we'll see. I hope the voice, the costume's fine, I guess. I get where they're going with it. It makes sense for the character. She is a sociopath. She's nutty. I get it. Fine. Whatever. She can be a suicide girl. But if they screw up the voice and the attitude, they're going to have a whole host of problems on their hands, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah. And the only thing that worries me, and I think that this is justifiable, is that Marvel took an established universe and they started with an individual character and another character movie, and they did them well. Right. DC's far behind the game, and it seems like what they're trying to do is you're trying to cram as many characters into the couple first releases that they make as possible to get people exposed to. Exactly. So we've got Batman v Superman, which is going to be the first in this new rebirth of DC. The new
DC. Well, second, because it's Man of Steel was the first one. But I get what you're saying.
So the new DC, and just in that movie alone, we've got Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, all.
Well, we're not sure if Aquaman's going to be in it yet. He maybe have like a Nick Fury cameo at the end.
Yeah, we know that he's going to be. We don't know to what extent.
Right. It'll probably be relatively small, I would think. I would hope.
And then you've got Suicide Squad bringing another 8 characters to the screen. So you've got 2 movies that they're essentially dropping
9 characters.
Yeah, 9 characters. They're dropping,
and that's not even counting Amanda Waller. So we're at least talking 10. 10 main characters going into this.
There you go, people. 14 characters. 14.
Introducing 13 of them.
Yeah,
because we already know Henry Cavill.
And so, you're trying to cram an awful lot, and that leaves you very little room to really develop these people.
Yep.
And flesh them out and give them the proper personalities. And if you screw up on the small details in the minute amount of time you have, you're gonna piss people off. And this is DC's chance to not screw it up. Does it make sense? They're already playing catch up on Marvel, and so this is your chance to do it right. So I'm really hoping, David Ayer is just going to knock it out of the park.
My guess is that you're probably going to see in the Suicide Squad movie a focus on Amanda Waller, Rick Flag, Harley Quinn, and Deadshot, and everybody else will be ancillary.
Yep, substrate.
Yeah, that's kind of my guess because I bet they'll probably flesh out Boomerang a little bit so he can be the villain because he's a Flash villain. So you'll probably see him flesh out a little bit, but and maybe Killer Croc just because he's a known entity. But a lot of these other, those are kind of the names. Those are the name characters,
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, don't comic fans don't attack me and saying, okay, I know Kitana's a name, and I know, and I know El Diablo's a name, but I'm talking about more common knowledge names. Killer Croc, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, Boomerang. Those are kind of your people. Amanda Waller. So we'll see. And I get kind of what you're saying about the Marvel thing, where it feels kind of strange that DC's going the whole opposite approach.
Yeah.
But we don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Who's to say that we can't have a big spectacle in a Batman v Superman and then flesh out Wonder Woman's story and flesh out Aquaman's story and stuff in its own.
True.
Just because Marvel did it the other way and was successful with it doesn't necessarily mean that DC will do it the other way and be unsuccessful with it.
True. But I think one of the things that you have to remember, and this is where I agree with you, but I take a different look at it. Marvel did the same thing in a way with Avengers. But Avengers is a collective group of characters that are blockbuster individuals on their own. Each of these characters is a tentpole feature, okay? They have their own long-standing series of comics.
You know what?
Great characters.
You know what? Before the Iron Man movie came out,
Yeah.
outside of Captain America, most of these guys were third tier. Nobody gives a crap, especially Iron Man. Iron Man was a C-level. No one gives a crap about character. No one cared about Iron Man. He wasn't even in the top 50 in comic sales. No one cared about Iron Man. So I think that shows that if you manage it correctly and get the right person in the role, you'll be just fine.
Fair enough.
So we'll see. I mean, even Cap had started to struggle.
Yeah,
before these movies, Marvel was struggling hard.
Yeah, well,
ladies and gents,
the comics industry,
Marvel may not have
whole
existed.
Yeah, had it
DC
not
was
been
doing
for...
just fine. Batman still sold. Batman was like 1, 2, and 3 on comics for like the last 15 years until Marvel movies came out. And that's why every 6 months, that's why every year and a half, 2 years, you see a Batman movie because he's DC's tentpole.
Right.
Everyone loves Batman.
Good point.
So we'll see. There's also rumors of Batman floating into the Suicide Squad. Doing his Nick Fury thing and floating into the Suicide Squad and going and seeing all of the nut bars at Belle Reed. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. So from one end of the spectrum where I don't want to say skeptical, but possibly slightly concerned, to the complete other end of the spectrum where it's, for the most part, being done absolutely right. You and I went and saw, you and I and our significant others went and saw Avengers on Friday night.
Absolutely.
Now, granted, one of our significant others felt like that was a great time to take a nap. It wasn't mine. So, we went and saw Avengers 2.
Yes.
Was it as good as the first Avengers?
Here's the thing. For me, no. I loved the movie.
I agree with you.
I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. I really, really, really like the movie. There are moments for me that were fantastic, and to me, they were almost as moments better than the first movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel what you're saying.
But as an experience, I feel like certain things felt rushed. And I feel like certain things felt it was really. Did you get the sense it was kind of sappy? Comparatively,
there was a little bit of that stuff, like the Black Widow Hulk romance that didn't really flesh out,
and then the Scarlet Witch Quicksilver.
Scarlet Witch Quicksilver relationship.
Emotional arc.
Yeah.
So I think
And then the odd kind of, I don't know if it's, I'd say odd, but it almost felt forced to have Hawkeye's family there.
yes.
It made sense though, because it was kind of like, because I liked that his wife, I liked that it was Linda Cardellini from Freaks and Geeks. I really like her. She's awesome. She was Velma in Scooby-Doo, for those of you that don't know Freaks and Geeks. She kind of gave Hawkeye, or Clint Barton, or whatever you call him, that hey, the Avengers need to get their shit together, and you're kind of the guy that you're almost like. He's almost like the glue guy, because he's not the one with superpowers, so he has the most humanity of the team.
Exactly. He brought a human angle to it. He was non-egotistical. He's just the dude.
He was spectacular.
He said many times, "I'm just doing my job."
Yep.
And so
exactly.
And so, as opposed to Tony Stark and his radical egotism and narcissism combined, yeah. Thor and his god complex. You know what I mean? He's the glue within that, the humanity of it all. He's just the dude who's doing what he's got to do and doing it because he feels a commitment to the job and his country. So I liked that, but I still felt but they took it a little bit sappy. They could have done maybe some pictures, you know what I mean? But they went straight to the house. I don't know. Parts of it felt a little sappy for me.
Yeah.
And there were things that felt rushed. I will say the Hulk, Iron Man, Hulkbuster fight.
That was spectacular.
Unbelievably spectacular.
That was so much fun.
And the birth.
He's punching him in the face, just with like a pneumatic hammer.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep,
go to sleep, go to sleep. It was spectacular.
And then when he hit him, and he was like, "Sorry," I was cracking up.
He hits Hulk in the mouth, and he turns and spits a tooth out and looks at him like he's ready to just destroy him.
And you can totally see the legitimate, and it's not often that it happens. You can totally see the legitimate fear in Tony Stark's eyes. He's like, "Oh crap!
Oh, yeah.
Did I just mess up? Pardon me."
Well, so, I'll bleep it. I'll make a note.
So.
But we'll go Craig Ferguson style.
So that was an exceptional moment, and I really loved the birth and development of Ultron, as limited as it was. Like, I honestly don't feel like Ultron got enough screen time. I think there was too much focus on the CG part of the development of his new armor and trying to show off what they could do with him. And less of his personality, because he is the absolute product, or he's the exact, he is the machine personification of Tony Stark. He's a smart ass. Exactly. He's egotistical. He is narcissistic, and he literally thinks that what he's doing is, it's for the good of all mankind and at all costs. And so his character is fantastic. I did not know before I walked in there was going to be so much in the way of a smart-ass attitude from him.
Dude, I tell you what. And I loved that because, and Danielle, my wife, will tell you, I freaking love James Spader.
Oh, yes.
He is one of my absolute favorites. If I could have, like, James Spader and... oh, god dang it. I'm sorry. I'm trying. He's one of my favorites. I can't think of his name. And if I could have James Spader and Jeff Bridges in the same movie, I could die a happy person. I don't even care what the content would be. If I could just have those two talk to each other for like 2.5 hours, that would be the greatest movie ever made to me. I love those two.
I seriously would. I probably would push an old lady down the stairs to share a glass of scotch with the Big Lebowski. The dude is the man.
But back on James Spader, that he was, for how Joss Whedon wrote the role, they could not have gotten anybody better.
No.
At playing at having a sinister, evil, horrible side, but yet you almost, I don't want to say sympathize, but you understand it.
Yes.
And you enjoy the personality, the sarcasm, the wit.
Uh-huh.
It was so literally perfect.
Yes,
I loved
absolutely.
every bit of James Spader as Ultron.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Um,
It's not really fair for me to say it though, because I have a huge thing for anything he's in. Blacklist,
oh my God, Blacklist is so
Boston
good.
Legal,
Yeah.
even effing Stargate, which is dumb as all get out. He makes it a little bit better because
Yes.
he's in it. I love James Spader.
He is definitely underrated. I like
I
James
agree.
Spader. I don't have the love for him that you do. I like him.
Right. You do. I promise.
But I agree with you. I don't think they could have picked anybody better suited to the character that they portray Ultron as in the movie. I think it's exceptionally well written.
Yep.
Honestly, his first 5 minutes of Inception are absolutely mastercrafted.
Oh, when he
When he meets
goes in.
Jarvis for the first time and he starts questioning what's happening to him in his existence, it's so singularly self-aware and insecure. If that can even be,
because he was made by Tony Stark, so he has the complete narcissism
It's
of
so
knowing that he's
amazing.
right, but being concerned about his knowledge of being right.
exactly.
Like
That is
like he's worried what
absolutely the best piece of writing in the entire movie is the first 5 minutes of Ultron's existence. There's so much subtext there. There's so much to be looked at in the way his personality is. They could have summed up every bit of Iron Man and Tony Stark that we've seen in all of the Marvel movies so far, okay? As far as who he is, and he did that in 5 minutes, just with that generation of consciousness. And it was so masterfully done. And honestly, it really propelled the character forward in the limited time that they had to be able to develop him and bring him from birth to death in the same movie.
Yeah.
So, fantastic job. There were things I wasn't real fond of. Honestly, the opening scene battle was cool. It was action-packed. The slow-mo scene where they all jump over the thing at the same time was so cliche and Hallmark. It wasn't even funny, dude.
I dug it, but and I think if we had not seen it in the trailer
yeah,
leading up, we probably would have liked it better.
probably.
But I
I just
take that with a grain of salt. I guess some of my struggles with it were it felt like there were just at times it felt like there were just chunks missing
plot
out of
holes.
the movie.
Yes,
Like the Vision shows up and then he's battling Ultron and then he's just gone
Yep.
for like the next 15 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes. Which by the way, Paul Bettany's great too. He encompassed the Vision very, very well.
I was just gonna say I didn't like.
He was
the
a great
character.
opposite to Ultron. He was a great counterbalance to Ultron.
I didn't like the character, but Paul
Right.
Bettany's very exceptionally well paced presentation of him, his slow and meticulous speech, the way he thought about everything before he stated, the way he portrayed him. Paul Bettany is fantastic. I have a thing for Paul Bettany.
Right.
Ever since A Knight's Tale, he's been one of
he's
my
so good in that.
favorite actors of
As
all
Chaucer.
time. Yes. But I agree with you, and it sucked that all of a sudden he freaking disappeared. Like he was gone.
Yeah.
Like, okay, here's this new and very integral to what's going to happen character. And
he's got a freaking Infinity Stone in his forehead.
yeah.
I mean, it's
and bye-bye. We got to go back to these five guys because we're trying to work on what's going on here with these guys. And I'm like, and then all of a sudden they bring him in almost like a token offering at the end for this battle, which honestly I was really disappointed in. Like
it's almost. Go ahead.
that final.
Well,
I just exactly what you just said. They bring him back in for like almost as a token movement because like, oh God, we got to bring Vision back in because he has to be the thing that overweighs the balance of the scale on one side against Ultron.
Yeah.
So let's bring him back in. We can fire a beam or something. Yay, Vision, and then bye-bye. And I'm like, come on, really?
Yeah. Here's what my struggle was with. Here was what my struggle was with the final battle. Okay, so nerds united in hate and vitriol rage at the amount of people that died in Gotham City, or not Gotham City, in Metropolis in Man of Steel.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Correct.
Yes.
So
Nerd rage.
it felt like Joss Whedon and Marvel went out of their way to make sure that it showed that Shield and the Avengers were trying to save as many
Every
faceless,
person.
lineless, nameless Sokovians as possible.
Yeah.
And there were so many shots of trying to get refugees or whatever you want to call them onto
These jump ships,
ships,
yeah.
onto these jump ships to get them off the rising island or whatever you want to call it at that point. The rising meteor almost is what Ultron was turning it into.
Yeah.
It almost felt like a reaction to the nerd hate of Man of Steel, that they were like, hey, 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 over here, over here. At Marvel, we save everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
At DC, they let everyone die. That's kind of what it felt like when I was watching it. And it felt like there were chunks that could have been put back into the movie. Like, I don't know, another 15, 20 minutes of Vision doing something. as opposed to just getting, and the scene with Hawkeye saving the little boy and then Quicksilver saving them and all that was good, but there was so much just of that. And then on that same token, I really wanted to see, because they're trying to do all this synergy between Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC
Yes.
and Marvel Universe.
Where the hell is Coulson?
There's no Coulson, there's no Agent May, none of the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were there helping S.H.I.E.L.D. And what bugs me about that is I didn't get a chance to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before we went to the movie. So I watched it yesterday, and the literal last scene of that movie is Coulson talking to Maria Hill about Loki's scepter and then saying, I think it's time we call in the Avengers, was the last line of the episode. And then they're nowhere to be seen. And I'm not saying we need to see all of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm hoping that we will see at least one of them in the Inhumans movie when it comes out, because she's basically an Inhuman at this point.
Right.
And that's what they're leading on the TV series, is that this whole next episode is supposed to be the first encounter of S.H.I.E.L.D. with the Inhumans and blah, 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 blah. But I was just a little bit disappointed that there was no corporate synergy between the TV wing and the movie wing.
Especially when you consider that of all these superheroes that make up the Avengers with all these powers, Phil Coulson is one of the most popular characters among fans.
Absolutely. That's why he got his own show.
I remember in the original movie the scene with him and Loki where he is half dead and he blows Loki's butt through the wall.
He's only mostly dead.
I remember people jumping to their feet.
Oh, yeah, and clapping and cheering.
Yes, for Coulson. There's such an emotional following to Coulson because he's this dude who has nothing. Okay,
he's the everyman.
Nothing to bring to the table
us.
compared to these people. He's just
he's got a receding hairline. He doesn't have six pack abs.
Exactly right. He's
just a dude.
He's on an E6 pay grade. Okay,
yep.
With a high security clearance. He just happens to know all the right people, and yet he busts his butt and he does all these things. I mean, he's just a fantastic character, and he's got heart. The scene where Fury brings in the trading cards covered in blood broke my heart, dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you thought Coulson was actually dead.
Yeah, and I mean, so Coulson's such a great character, and to not bring him, especially after all the work they've done on the show to tie it into movie happenings, to not bring him into the movie almost felt like a slight.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That bugged me, and it really stood out because it stood out to me because there were so many scenes of those freaking jump ships, like we were just talking about, that I'm like, they seriously could have given a token 20 seconds.
Why wasn't Coulson on those ships guiding or leading the rescue efforts while the Avengers?
That's all you needed was one shot of him,
please,
like holding on and just doing this, and everyone would have lost their shit. Freaking Coulson. That's two now. Golly, we got so charged up. I got two edits.
This is
to make
the
for language.
NSFW episode, folks.
Yeah, the NSFW of Geek.0.
So, and I got to say this because you just brought it up. I don't know the storyline of the comics well enough, but honestly, while it added some gravity to the situation, and definitely to the emotion of the scene. Quicksilver dying pissed me off. Because here's this kid they bring into the storyline who has one of the better powers amongst all of the ones that are there, okay?
Yeah.
And the character is very well. I like him. I like the character. I like the guy who was playing him. I like his character. His backstory line, his connection to Scarlet Witch, and to have him die 40 minutes after you introduce him in the movie, I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding. Well, hold on. This is the Avengers. Coulson died too, so we don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to slow you down on.
The fact
he has signed up for more projects.
Okay, I was
so
going to say to
Pietro
kill him
Maximoff
off.
shall be returned.
All right, and I love the scene. I will say though, when they're pulling away from the soon to be meteor, the scene where Hawkeye crawls onto the bench and leans over and puts his hand on the chest of Quicksilver, who is riddled with 50 cal rounds. Actually, I swear to God, it's like 3.5 seconds long, but it's super touching. Because here is this one guy who's the humanity of all this, who brought Scarlet Witch, snapped her out of her funk, okay? And, got her on board to the team.
And she seems like she's going to be a real big deal going forward. And, looks like because she's one of the new Avengers along with Falcon.
Dude, bring it, because she is
Vision
awesome.
And War Machine.
She is awesome. So. But to see him sitting there with such immense, it overwhelmed him. The fact that he couldn't, that guy was gone. It was a great scene. It's a fun movie, man. It was fun.
It was good.
It wasn't perfect.
It was good. Was it the original Avengers? No. But here's the thing.
But
outside of
hold on, before you say what you're going to say.
Go ahead.
Do you think it's even possible for it to be the original? Because keep in mind, before the original, we were pumped on this experience of wanting to see all of the Avengers kick ass in a movie. And then we got this amazing movie, okay? Great script, great characters, great humor, great development, great shawarma, and all of that. And it was just like a kick to the face of awesomeness. And, everyone loved that movie. So going from nothing to something, is it possible to create that same experience going from something to the second?
I think... And that's that's almost exactly what I was going to say, was the reason that this one didn't give that same that the first one did was because that shot in the Battle of New York when they're all united and the camera kind of spins around them and Scarlet Witch is cocking the gun and
Hawkeye's pulled back and
Hawkeye's got the boat pulled and you got freaking Tony Stark with his lasers and crap. That will not be topped again by Marvel.
No.
Because it can't be. It physically can't be, because people have been waiting, nerds especially have been waiting decades to see that on a screen.
Yeah.
And the only thing that may top it is a spin around shot of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, Green Lantern. That's the only thing that may top it.
You just let the DC fan in you show, dude. I see.
That's what I'm saying.
I see
because
your flag.
But it's the only. Well, I'm not saying that it will. I'm saying that it's the only thing that has the potential to do it.
I agree.
But on that same token, because you listen to guys like Kevin Smith talk, and he's like, you stick Batman and Superman in the same movie. He goes, there are people that have no idea anything about the Avengers. Don't know who Iron Man, Captain America, nobody. My grandma knew who Batman was. Everybody effing knows who Batman and Superman are. They are the two kings of comics.
Yeah.
And so I'm honestly, even with that trailer that we saw, or teaser we saw, a couple weeks ago, I'm honestly disappointed that they showed a teaser with both of them in the same scene.
Yeah, agreed.
Because I almost wanted to hold it just for the movie and then just get sticky, because freaking Batman and Superman are on a screen together and S is getting ready to go down. So it's like, and it's still another year till that freaking movie comes out. So, I think Age of Ultron is great. I think James Spader was great in it. I think he stole the show.
Yeah.
He was the best. He was great. Scarlet Witch was really good in it.
Really good.
Outside of the, I could have taken or leaving their could have taken or left their German accents. They're okay. Um, but they are German, so okay.
On a side note,
But
I do want to
it
say,
was she was good. I wasn't expecting an Olsen to be quite so good.
no, not at all.
You forgot that she's Mary Kate and Ashley. You forgot that she's the sister of Michelle Tanner, didn't you?
She's the sane one. She's the sane one.
Yeah,
She's
exactly. Yeah.
she's the non-crack whore crazy one.
Yeah.
Good, more power to you, girl. You are awesome as Scarlet Witch, and thank you for bringing that persona to screen. You did a fantastic job. I don't mean to mock you, but I don't have a choice. It's in my nature.
It's your sister's fault.
Yeah,
Sorry.
if your sister wasn't a crazy crack whore, I wouldn't have said it.
Sisters.
Um,
I don't know the plural of sisters. You're multi-sisters.
Yeah. So wherever she is, behind a 7-Eleven doing unspeakable things for beer money or whatever else, I'm just saying.
Oh.
So
Dude, she's still got that Mary Kate Ashley money. They're fine.
I don't know, that wears out fast.
Yeah.
I will say one of the things I did enjoy about this movie is without I maybe intending to, I think they did a much better job of developing, or a really good job of developing Banner's person.
Yeah, it was nice to see a little bit more Bruce Banner.
Yeah, and there was so much more of him as a person dealing with the repercussions. And one of the consistent themes of the comics is this self-hatred that Banner has for what he is.
Oh, yeah.
He
Yeah.
cannot stand the fact that the green guy has no control, because here's this man who's devoted his life to bettering the world and saving people. And every time he turns into the green guy, people die, and lots of them do it. And it kills him. And I thought they did a fantastic job, even when they poked fun at it. The scene on the ship where Thor just dropped it out of his hat was like, oh yeah, you sent them to Valhalla or whatever.
The blood of your enemies.
Yes, and everybody on the ship looked at him like, are you an insensitive douche or what, dude? This guy.
Hey, to Thor, that's the business,
Right.
man. That's
I
what he's
love
there
that.
for.
I
He's a
love that.
warrior. He's a Viking god. I mean, that's what he is.
But the polarity of Hulk's character,
I agree.
I don't think they did as good a job at demonstrating the polarity of Hulk's persona in the first movie as they did in this one. In this,
I agree.
They did a fantastic job of showing Banner as a person with emotions and feelings and just being a dude. He's just a guy who wants to feel peace and harmony, and who happens to like a girl and can't even fathom that a girl that hot and that exotic would be interested in him, right? And
It's usually Liv Tyler.
and wow. I'm still trying to forget that, and you keep bringing it up. And so I love you, Edward Norton. Don't hate me. But that movie. Anyway. So
if he hadn't been such a pain in the ass to work with, he would have been in the 2 highest grossing movies of all time.
Right.
But whatever.
But I think they did a great job of showing the polarity of the characters between Hulk and Banner, and I don't even think that was an intentional move in this movie. I think they were playing the right points they needed for the storyline. But I got to give credit to oh my God,
Mark Ruffalo.
Thank you, Mark Ruffalo. Fantastic job of portraying.
He's easily been the best Banner.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and I think
Eric Bana and Ed Norton. I like Ed Norton, but
his facial expressions are what does it. He's just really good at portraying sorrow and loss and bewilderment. So fantastic. I just had to throw that in there because I thought that was a really good.
I agree with you.
Bonus.
But then on that same note, on the Bruce Banner note, okay, everybody was up Tony's shit for making Ultron. He had a little helper.
Yes, he did.
And it was Bruce Banner.
I like how he tried to say. What's funny
Banner
is
literally caught no flack.
What's funny
for
is
creating the robot that's going to destroy the
in
world.
the same scene that you're talking about, where Banner caught no flack, Banner even admitted we screwed up the first time. He's like, and look what happened when we tried the first time, and still everyone hated
Tony.
Everyone hated Tony, but we're like, oh, Banner, you're awesome. And I think it's because everyone's afraid to hurt his feelings at this point. No one wants to piss
Oh yeah,
off
because
Banner.
they don't want to see the green guy.
because if Green Guy comes
only
out
Nat,
when everybody's
only
in that
Nat
ship,
knows the lullaby to put the beast away.
right? Fantastic.
Yeah.
My verdict is
So
1 3/4. If I could chop it off here, 1 3/4 thumbs up. Okay, if we're gonna use the Ebert scale, in my mind, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say about an 8 1/4, 8.5.
Yeah, I'm in that same area, about an 8, 8.5.
I think it's a fantastic movie. It could have been exceptional. It just wasn't, and I don't necessarily think that was the movie maker's fault. I think you were crippled.
Well, I believe he had to cut time. I think it was up over 3 hours before he trimmed it.
Yeah, and I think
so. I'm going to be interested to see the director's
exactly.
cut.
I think even with the extra time, I think you were crippled by the greatness of your predecessor.
Yeah.
I think the original movie puts you in a position where you couldn't achieve what you wanted to, no matter what. I don't care how good the movie was. But that having been said, taking that out of it, it was a great movie. I think it was hobbled in a couple parts by some nitpicky stuff that I just wasn't a fan of. But overall, awesome. James Spader, dude, seriously, you have to find a way to revive Ultron in something, either a TV role or something.
It won't be hard. Ultron never freaking dies.
Just bring him back.
As long as there's some little bit of him to have code, Ultron exists.
Yeah, because let's face it,
like Brainiac in the comics.
Tony Stark as a superhero is a lovable douchebag, but his character works so much better as an evil mastermind you can't help but root for. So yeah,
and that's and you can see, because obviously all of this, you can see where the Civil War is starting to shape up.
Yes.
You could kind of see it at the end where they were kind of splitting apart, and you had Black Widow and Cap now taking over the new Avengers, which would be War Machine, Scarlet Witch, Falcon, and Vision. And then Tony's gone. Hulk's off on a plane wherever because he doesn't want to hurt Nat. Clint's gone back to his life. Thor's back up in Asgard, checking on things. And that is one thing I did like, is that Thor was gone for a big chunk of the movie, but it's because he went to actually go find some effing answers about what the heck was actually going on with the stone. So good for Thor for, doing a little CSI Asgard and figuring out what was going on with that stone and what Ultron was trying to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that having been said,
and then the cameo with Thanos at the end,
Yes.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
Right.
Finally.
And just so you know, guys, everybody who's watched a Marvel movie knows that there's always a cameo. There's always a post-credits
cameo.
Yeah, there's a post-credits clip that leads you into what's going on next. And guess what? We just gave it the freak away. Thanos.
Hey, we said there would be spoilers.
Yeah, so Thanos is about ready to get busy.
Puts on the Infinity Gauntlet. He's coming to get some stones, bitches.
Booyah.
So we will see. I'm sure that this means we will see some unification.
Absolutely.
It's been rumored, but we will see some unification between the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers, because they got a stone and the Avengers got a stone. So Infinity War's got to happen, and there's got to be stones coming.
And I cannot wait to see Star-Lord and Tony Stark in the same room. Two guys with more personality than they can contain. One of them just a smartass who is fun-loving, and one of them is a smartass who's full of himself in the same room. Oh my God, it's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be good stuff.
Absolutely. And if you guys,
all in all,
if you guys can't tell how much of geeks we are already, you guys have watched our webisodes, webcasts, podcasts, if you want to call it that.
Whatever we're calling
that antiquated Apple term. But normally we fill 30 minutes with talk on like 10 topics. Today we filled 45 minutes with just Avengers and Suicide Squad. So we're sorry for nerding out for as long as we did, but we had a lot of things to talk about related to Avengers.
It's Avengers,
Suicide,
man.
And
it's Avengers.
It's worth the time.
This has been an anticipated movie since the last one came out. People have been waiting for this.
Yeah.
So our next up's going to be Ant-Man.
Oh God, yes.
Very, the trailers are looking better, so I'm excited to check it out when it comes in. So
Absolutely.
I'm sure we'll be going to see that as well.
Definitely.
So I'd say it's probably time we about sign off. You can check us out at www.geek.0.com. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/geek.0, twitter.com/geek.0. Let's see where else. We're also on Google Plus at Geek.0. And then we're now also on Periscope. If there's a social platform out there, we're on it. So we're not hard to find.
I just
Come consume.
I just want to say to all our friends, if you are still on Google Plus, you need to get with the times.
Hey, they say the kids are using it because it's all tied to YouTube. So just saying.
That having been said,
So tweens, come love us. Bye. So that being said, for Geek.0, I'm Chris.
and I'm Shawn Michael.
Don't be afraid to let your geek flag fly.